So we'll see what unfolds for Fandango as we go from that to Daniel Bryan, backstage with Kane, as we already kind of alluded to. Bryan gives Kane a pep talk, says, I'm just so disappointed. The Kane that I know would go out there and he'd tombstone Seth Rollins on those steel steps and almost end his career. And just, says, don't lay down. It's pretty much what he tells Kane. Kane just explodes, says, leave! And Bryan says, okay, I'll leave. Don't you lay down tonight.
Yeah.
And he just kind of, puts that in there. So we finally get to Seth Rollins versus Kane. And I have to say, obviously as a match, it's clearly nothing special. But as a segment to kind of further characters in both Rollins and Kane, I'd say this is a very well done segment. I enjoyed this.
Mm-hmm.
You had Kane kind of taking off his suit, then, kind of his undershirt, and then, being, just no shirt or anything. And then Seth just keeps saying, hey, you don't even have to do that. Just lay down. He's just wondering why you're going this far doing that kind of stuff. And then, of course, they do the teases of, oh, is he going to lay down? Finally, at one point, he does get on his back, but he only allows Rollins to get a 2 count before he sits up. Then another great moment was J&J Security came in. They started admonishing Kane, like, just lay down. What are you doing? This doesn't make any sense. Don't be so stupid. Kane throttles them both by the throat. I'm thinking he's going to double choke slam them, and maybe the camera would pan to Rollins making this shocked face, like, oh shit. Like I actually have to wrestle tonight. But he just shoves J&J Security away. Rollins really starts getting angry with Kane, says, hey, this is my WWE. What are you doing, huh? What are you doing? And then he eats an uppercut. So, that happens. And, finally, Rollins recovers and says, hey, look, just calm down. Take it easy. I love how Rollins first tries to talk Kane down, and then when he feels like he's controlled the situation, he just starts admonishing him again. I'm like, how stupid are you? Because he says, this is my WWE, so just lay down. Just do it all the way on your back, because he's on one knee at one point. And then Kane's like, oh, you know what? Screw this shit. And he throttles Rollins by the throat, choke slams him, and I think he's actually going to go for the pin and get the pin, and thus leaving full control for Orton. But Kane does actually end up laying down. He drapes Rollins' arms over him, giving Rollins the 3 counts. So Seth Rollins does win this match, and Kane just immediately leaves afterwards, and as Rollins recovers, he manages to get one last laugh out, because, he's just such a heel.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of this segment, Ashton?
Man, I wanted to really get into it, and I could feel myself kind of getting into it with Kane, but I don't know. It's like the tease, and then really it wasn't really about him being a babyface. It was just about him establishing that he's still really, really powerful, I guess. I don't know.
See, I think the only kind of disconnect, and maybe you'd agree with me, or maybe I'm just kind of being stupid here, but I feel like the disconnect I suffer from is that, Kane is an older guy. Even if he does turn face and does this stuff, I'm not going to care. Like, if this is a younger guy in the Authority that we were all disappointed in for, like, selling out, kind of like we were when Seth Rollins initially did it,
Yeah.
and he's having these reconsiderations, I'd get so excited. Because I think, it's this young talent who was a scumbag, and he saw that, but now he's having these reconsiderations. His conscience is coming back into the fold, and he's going to take it to Seth Rollins. But it's Kane. Even if they do a little mini program like after the fact, if it leads to something in a future pay-per-view, I'm not going to care. If anything, like, it's going to make me root for Rollins even more because I'm enjoying the present far more than I could ever enjoy revisiting the past at this point.
Yep.
And I think that's where my disconnect really comes from. Again, it was a solid segment. I don't want to take anything away from the segment, but I think, I don't want to speak for you, but I think for a lot of people, if we're looking at the grander scheme, if we're looking at the bigger picture of which this is only just one fragment, who really gives a crap? Because, again, it's Kane. I mean, that's really all you have to say. So, yeah, that was a thing. We go from that to The Miz versus Damien Mizdow. Damien Mizdow comes out with Summer Rae, continuing their little thing that they had, last Thursday on SmackDown, where he actually ended up kissing Summer Rae on the set of Miz TV. This was the rematch.
And she returned the kiss too. It was not like it wasn't one-sided.
Exactly.
Like when he backed off, she kind of went back at him and kissed him.
Yeah, exactly. So
just kind of wanted to establish that so that it doesn't seem like super creepy. Like he made out with her and she was like, "Ew, what are you doing?"
Yeah, totally mutual.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that they're an item apparently on screen. So this is the rematch. Not really much to say here. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like this feud's kind of been tapped out for me. I really, I'm not saying that I just want to totally move past it, but I don't have the same investment that I initially did. Mizdow does get the win though. He blocks a skull-crushing finale, and he gets the roll-up. The roll-up of death. We saw it tonight. It just wasn't for Divas. And Mizdow does get the win. That leaves Miz and Mizdow, at least on Raw, at 1 apiece. You have to imagine the tiebreaker is going to be at Extreme Rules. And I'm just kind of wondering what stipulation they're going to get. So, we'll see. You know, I know we've been kind of joking, winner gets rights to the gimmick or whatever. I'm actually getting kind of scared that it's going to be some kind of variation of that stipulation. But we'll see how it all turns out. Miz kind of freaking out after the match, and Sandow, of course, celebrates with Summer Rae. And then we go from that to the Primetime Players doing yet another little backstage vignette, this time mocking Los Matadores. Not really much to say here. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed their New Day mockery or their Ascension mockery. But pretty good stuff. I mean, I'm just glad they're together and able to do something. So, I mean, what's this all going to lead to? Because right now it seems like the Lucha Dragons are the #1 contenders. Are the Primetime Players making fun of all these teams going to lead to some kind of gauntlet style or turmoil style kind of matchup?
I think it might. I think what might happen is the Lucha Dragons have their match against Cesaro and Kid at Extreme Rules, win the titles, and then Primetime Players make fun of the Lucha Dragons.
Right.
And that sets them up for a feud.
That'd be pretty cool. I'd totally support that. I mean, the Primetime Players came back together because their intentions were made clear from day one. They want to be tag team champions. If anything, I'm surprised how much I myself, for not even being a fan of these guys, have wanted to see them get in the hunt simply because it's only logical. I mean, you know, that's what they got back together for. Yeah. I was calling for them to be a part of the title match at WrestleMania. I was miffed that they got snubbed. If this is how they get in the picture, I support it, man. They got my vote. All right, after that, we get Ryback versus Luke Harper. You know, it seemed like it was turning into a good matchup, you know, like one of those big Haas matchups, as people like to say, you know, two big guys, you know, going at it.
Yeah.
But then it kind of devolved to the outside, you know, kind of a fight there, and Harper just kind of throws the match out because he gets the table, the announce table, takes the covering, and he hits Ryback with it, causing the DQ. And Harper's looking to do more damage, but then Dean Ambrose comes out and he puts a stop to it. So I was happy about this because if you remember I said to you during the Dean Ambrose-Adam Rose matchup, man, I really hope Dean cuts like a post-match promo or Harper comes out or something. When they didn't, I was pretty irked by that. I was going to make that a nitpick, but this completely evaded that. We know that I think these guys are on a collision course for Extreme Rules. I'm excited about Harper being a little mini program, you know, on a pay-per-view in singles action. And, of course, Dean getting anything with guys like this is always worth being excited about to a degree.
Yep.
So I'm sure these guys will do something wonderful. I'm excited. And we go from that to, you know, now bringing it full circle from earlier, Naomi addressing her actions. And I have to say, Ashton, I enjoyed this promo from Naomi. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of like how do I put this? There were certain moments that she had where I was like, oh, well, that felt scripted. But for the most part, I would say, yeah, it gets a passing grade from me.
And you know what? I can certainly see where you're coming from, but I think being her first promo in this kind of territory of being a heel, you know, she'll come into it.
Yeah.
I did like that she brought up AJ. Maybe that was the part that you thought was scripted. I don't know, but I enjoyed.
Well, I mean, it wasn't necessarily just the fact that she brought up AJ. It was how long she kept her in, like, as a subject of discussion.
Right.
Just kind of got awkward.
Yeah, especially when AJ's not going to be around to answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying. I actually like the little touch where at first she seemed genuinely remorseful, but she breaks out laughing. I'm like, oh, look at that, she pulled a me. But, you know, so that was good stuff. But, yeah, I loved her closing line where she said, people have been mistaking my kindness for weakness for far too long now. And, you know, now I'm taking the opportunities that I want without asking. So, good for Naomi, man. It's about damn time. I'm so pro Naomi right now with this heel turn. I am so ready for her to be Divas Champion, and I really, again, enjoyed this promo. I think she'll only get better with time. And again, let's get some new theme music. That I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
But up next, we get Dolph Ziggler. He comes out to a nice pop, and he cuts a promo in the ring. He takes a little jab at Kane, you know, kind of furthering that thing, saying, you know, you're just the devil's favorite dumbass. Oh, yeah, I went there, and he did say that. You know, that wasn't me just trying to be funny. And he says, I'm gonna take a page out of Cena's notebook. I'm gonna issue an open challenge, which Neville answers to a nice pop, because again, this is also kind of a home town kind of thing here for Neville. And they end up tearing the house down, dude. I mean, this is a great matchup between these two.
Yep.
At one point, the spot that I think everybody and their mothers freaked out for, Neville scales the security barricade with Ziggler laid out, and he does a 450 off the barricade onto Ziggler. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Insanity. Ziggler at one point nails a beautiful super kick to Neville, but that only gets a near fall, so it's back and forth, back and forth. Neville looks like he's going to hit the red arrow on Ziggler, but Ziggler rolls out of the way. Neville lands on his feet. He charges at Ziggler, but he ends up eating ring post, in his shoulder. Ziggler gets the zigzag and gets the win. So another really competitive matchup for Neville. I'm really liking how they're building him up. You once said, and it was one of my favorite lines in all the Twitwas we recorded, which, my God, just is so many at this point. But when he was either U.S. champion or he just recently lost the thing, and you said he was losing his way to the WWE title at the time.
Yep.
And I feel like Neville is losing his way to the main event scene. And now that may seem like a really confounding statement to a lot of people, like, how can you do that? But when you put on quality matches like this, and when you legitimately hang with your opposition, yeah, totally. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Ashton, again, kind of get that plug out of the way. I started a thread on Pwitov after Neville's matchup with Seth Rollins last week, and I told everybody, do not be surprised if this guy is in Money in the Bank this year, and more importantly, when you and I get around to doing Money in the Bank preview and predictions, which is one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year, that I would pick Neville if he's in the matchup to win the briefcase match. And walk out with that. I would not be surprised. I mean, he's facing opponents in his first few weeks, save for Curtis Axel, which I can excuse because that was a debut matchup. But now that he's been kind of more established, gotten his feet wet, I mean, Seth Rollins and now Dolph Ziggler. I mean, that's crazy. It almost makes me wonder who is he going to face next week. So, yeah, they've definitely got big plans for Neville, and I'm digging it. So, anything you want to say about this matchup?
No, I mean, it was a solid match. The one thing that really just like blew my mind was the walk across the barricade into the 450. That just killed me. I was amazed by that. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Not as gorgeous as Tyler Breeze, though.